On March 10, 2022, Hubert Josh Hall was leaving his residence in Wright City, Missouri, when Officer Jose Malta Gonzalez of the Rye City Police Department noticed that several of the vehicles parked in Mr. Hall's driveway did not have license plates. Officer Malta parked his vehicle and began an investigation into the unregistered vehicles. Did you ever think a man can be arrested brutally after showing middle finger in fun? I know you didn't think so. I am here to solve this puzzle. Before going deeper into the story, I request you to subscribe our channel to get latest updates. Let's jump into it. After reaching close to the vehicle, the Officer Malta said something exciting about the vehicles, like these vehicles are great and looking great. The officer asked a question that these are your cars. The man said, "Yes." Officer Malta informs Mr. Hall that he will be issuing them citations for the unlicensed vehicles under Section 27.010 of the Wright City Code of Ordinances. A so-called Darrell vehicle is defined as, quote, any inoperative, unlicensed, partially or fully dismantled, wrecked or junked motor vehicle, trailer, all-terrain vehicle, or vessel situated, parked, kept, or stored upon any private property, with or without the consent of the property owner. Section 27.5 of the Code. Therefore, while likely not illegal, Officer Malta's decision to forego the 7-day grace period and immediately cite Mr. Hall was a deviation from the department's standard practice. 48 Officer Malta claims over the radio that Mr. Hall flipped him off and threatened him, when in fact Mr. Hall only gave him the middle finger well. It is firmly established that so-called true threats of physical harm are not protected by the First Amendment. It is clear from the body camera footage that Mr. Hall made no such threats. However, the First Amendment does protect communicative gestures, such as giving the middle finger, which means that Mr. Hall could not be criminally prosecuted or even legally detained based solely on the fact that he quote, flipped off Officer Malta. Although raising a middle finger is clearly not so-called speech in the ordinary sense of the word, as the Supreme Court noted in the 1989 case of Texas versus Johnson, the protections of the First Amendment are not limited to spoken or written language, and now quoting conduct may be sufficiently imbued with elements of communication, fall within the scope of the First and 14th Amendments. Now, the Supreme Court has not decided a case regarding First Amendment protections for raising a middle finger. It did determine in the landmark 1971 case of Cohen versus California that profanity was protected by the First Amendment. It was nonetheless, now quoting again, a constitutionally protected speech activity. Accordingly, it is almost certain that a court would conclude that Mr. Hall's use of the middle finger was protected by the First Amendment, and therefore could not justify an arrest of detention. Good.